Hey guys, welcome back to the Gut Girls podcast. We are so excited to be here with you today. And, every time we come, Dan and I bring to this podcast, honestly, questions and experiences that our members have. And we know that if they're having them, you guys listening are probably having them too. So, one of the experiences that we wanted to talk about today is kind of this general question that we get from women that they're basically saying, why can't my brain ever shut off? And oh my goodness, can I relate to this one so much? But really what they're asking, so what we hear in our consultations would be like, why can't I relax? Why do I feel overwhelmed all the time? I've had women say to me, Angela, nothing in my life is super stressful right now, but I cannot feel settled in my body. They'll always feel this little bit of anxiety, whether they're behind, forgetting something, and they just can't enjoy the moments. And so I think the questions are telling us something, as always, a little bit deeper. Diane and I like to get to the root of these questions that y'all are Googling out there or coming to us with. And it's not just emotionally, like, why can't I shut this off? It's why can't I relax? It's actually more physiological. And that means like it's actually in your body. And so, Diane and I love to talk about the nervous system. And so we're going to kind of take it there. When I say this is actually a physiological response, not just an emotional response, I am referring to that nervous system. So when I hear those questions, I don't hear women saying, they're weak or they're flawed, because a lot of women do come to us with that perception of like, gosh, I must be broken. I must not be strong enough as the next woman. I've had literally clients be like, how do you do it all? They'll say to Diane and I, how do you guys do it all? There must be something wrong with me. And Diane and I are here to say there is nothing wrong with you. In fact, we're going to get into some of our personal stuff on today's podcast as well. But guys, really what this is we tend to carry so much as women. We're thinking about, I know for me as a mom, personally, I'm thinking about meals while I'm at work. I'm thinking about, did I prep for dinner? Actually will think like, are my kids eating the lunch I packed today? I'm thinking about work. Then on the flip side of that, when I'm with my kids, I'm thinking like, gosh, did I send that client that last, link? Did I give them all the education they need while I had that quick consultation with them? And meanwhile, my kids are right in front of me. And I know Diana can speak to this too. And I think that we're, thinking about tomorrow while we're eating dinner, the night before. So our bodies are always somewhere else, right? And our mind is somewhere else. And so what we really want to bring together for you today is how do we get comfortable with the place we are at currently? How do we shut our brains off? How do we connect to our physical bodies in the moment, wherever that may be? Right, Diana?
Yeah, and it's funny, you and I, a lot of our conversations, of course, obviously we communicate about our clients, but a lot of our conversations are almost like mini little therapy sessions, aren't they?
They are.
Just for each other. It's like, and I literally said this to you yesterday. I'm like, it's a matter of balancing it all out. Just like we talk about balancing the diet and balancing, even figuring out which supplements are the right ones to take. Maybe it's time to eliminate those and worry more about these at this point. But it's constantly this juggling act. So I feel like that's how you and I are all the time, even though we're sort of in different seasons of our life where I have teenagers, one's getting ready to drive, and yours are smaller and younger, and you have to figure out what they're going to do all summer long. And it's just a lot to juggle.
It is. And, I think what we go back to in all of this, I would say is the question we go back to our clients when Diana and I are on the phone with each other. It's like, okay, but what is your body trying to say right now to you? And sometimes when Diana, you and I are on the call together, just personal conversation, it's like, okay, what is the season calling you to right now? So it's, what is your body trying to tell you? What is the season calling you to? And so inside the Gut Girls, we always say your body is talking to you. I mean, gosh, the world around you is constantly talking to you. So what if, I would say it this way, what if these moments are actually communicating something to you? They're not just saying, hey, you're bloated, not just, hey, you're constipated, not just, hey, this is another headache. Hey, this is another moment where you can't relax. Hey, this is another moment where you're multitasking and thinking about the 20 things around you. What if we actually just stopped when we were caught ourselves in that state or that season or that mindset and say, what is my body trying to tell me? Right?
And I absolutely think that's exactly what it is, because we always tell everybody you can be your own doctor. And obviously, we realize and recognize that there's a time and a place for you to actually need to go to the doctor or to work with, coaches, gut health coaches, or whatever like us. But you can learn so much from yourself about by listening to those symptoms, right? And listening to what your body is saying. And so I think that's what our brains have learned. It's like, you have to remember the dentist appointment and remember to pack the lunches. And did you order the groceries? Go pick those up. Does everybody have their soccer cleats, or whatever the case may be? And so our nervous system is like on this constant overload. And so we talk about this with our clients, how important it is that's in order to heal, you have to get that step right. And so our nervous system is constantly trying to keep us alive. It's one of the things that's constantly trying to keep us alive. It's like, how can Angela or how can Diana take just these few moments to enjoy blank, whatever the case may be. For me, it was a recent vacation. For you, it may be your hike or your sunset, where you can shut off worrying about, did you remember to pack the cleats in the car? And you can just enjoy your 15-minute walk.
Oh, for sure. And I think about a personal experience, Dana, with you on the phone. It takes me to it, and I don't know if I'm probably not going to do it justice, so I'll have you step in. But you had said when you were closing your store and you were in the midst of, like, your mind was, I bet you were everywhere in that moment. And you can kind of speak to that. But there was a moment you were on the phone with me and you stopped and you were like, oh my gosh, some lady just walked up to me and handed you something written on a piece. Am I correct saying on a piece of paper or something like that? And it was interesting because you were telling me about all the stressors that are all the to-do lists. It wasn't even, they were stressors, but you had a list when Diana's store closed. And if you guys don't know about that, go back. I don't remember exactly the podcast, but Diana went through just a few podcasts ago about her entire unexpected closing of her storefront. And I just remembered, like, you were going through the list of things to do, but then that moment, we almost like stopped together on the phone and like took it in. Like, okay, in the midst of all of this chaos, though, are we going to choose to embrace this moment, to tell them about this moment? Because it was pretty touching to me, I thought.
It was actually in the middle. I had just learned that it was time for me to close down the storefront. I still had employees working out the rest of their time. And we were in the midst of putting things on bigger sales. And so it was a lot. And I started thinking about, all the things, the utilities and just kind of everything. But in that moment, I had scheduled months before that I was going to be off work that day to go be with JC Kate for a district tennis match, which is about 30 minutes from our home. And so it was in between JC Kate's matches that, of course, I was talking to my therapist, Angela. She's my free therapist. And we were walking and I was crying or I was walking. When I say we were walking, we walked together a lot, but we just walked together in different states. I was walking on this trail while JC Kate was having a break. And then I was standing in the middle of the parking lot, finishing my conversation with Angela, when this lady who knew I was like I was crying, but I was on the phone. She came up and interrupted my conversation with you and handed me, it was a pack of Kleenexes, and it had a Bible verse on it about, I can't remember exactly. You threw me for a loop here because I didn't know you were going to ask this question, but it had a Bible verse on it about being courageous and, trusting in the Lord. And you and I just were like, okay, oh my goodness.
But I think that was it. Like you just talked about, let me pull this together as to where my mind was going. You just talked about our body, our nervous system is constantly trying to keep us safe, right? So you're going through the checklist, but then I do think that the world is speaking to us, right? And so literally, God, whatever you guys want to call it, just interrupted and reminded your nervous system, hey, in this moment, you don't have to be hypervigilant. Like, this moment is not an emergency. Diana, in this very moment, you are not dying. This does not have to be solved right now. And like, I get goosebumps saying that because I'm like, sometimes we need hit upside the head. Sometimes we need someone to hand us a Kleenex with a Bible verse on it. But I mean, guys, I'm trying to tell you that like when you're in that moment, look around you, because I do believe that there is something trying to speak to you. And I thought that was such a beautiful moment for you to be like, all right, here we are, Diana, trying to solve the world's problems on a phone call, different states on our walk. And then we're just interrupted. Like this doesn't have to look like this right now.
Yeah, it truly reminded me, number one, how grateful I was in that moment to be able to be off work and go watch JC Kate, right?
Mhm.
Number two, it reminded me that, money is just money. And I know we have to make it, right? But it's really the relationships, and it's really the life that we're living, and not worried about every little teeny tiny financial piece. And I know obviously that's important because that's how we put food on our table, but that it's just going to be okay, and learn to embrace the fact that, all the blessings that you're not thinking about, the employees that are still willing to work for the next few weeks, to get you through this and allow you to go be with JCK, the friends that I have like you that we've met 3 times in person, which we're about to change actually.
Yeah, we're about to meet 4 times.
That we, that I have you as that resource, and that we have the Gut Girls, this community and this support group, and, just to live in that moment it just has been such a reminder. And honestly, from that point, which has been several months ago, from that point to now, I have really it's really opened my eyes to what's important, and trying to embrace those moments and recognize how much better I have felt physically, because I have been able to allow my nervous system to not be constantly on fight or flight all the time. Because I do felt like that's how I was. I was constantly worried about my employees. I was constantly worried about my building. When it was 20 degrees outside, are the pipes going to burst? It was just a constant worry. And so now, not having that for the last couple of months, it has kind of taken on a little different worry, because I'm like, how am I going to feed my family? But it's a different kind where it's not a constant all the time, and so it's been really interesting to see how I have felt over that time, how my gut health has been. I mean, just like you and I talk about, with our members, we're so honest about, hey, our stool test is a wreck because I'm a wreck right now, and it really does change everything. And so my health has been so really optimal the last couple of months, because I have felt amazing. And I haven't changed a whole lot as far as my eating, my supplements, all of those things. The one thing that has changed is the amount of stress and the amount of worry that I've been able to let go. And so that tells you such a big piece of our overall health is the nervous system.
Yeah, but I have to rewind to say, okay, so let's imagine that the Diana back in 2017, the unhealthy version of you. Well, granted, I can't even say that. Where I was going with this is like, let's imagine that Diana had lost her store, but let's even go through for a second. That Diana lost her mom. So like that Diana even had a bigger loss, but you were unhealthy through that. And I'm going to compare, these are totally different losses, but they both felt like a death, right? Like one was an actual, they're both deaths, I should say, in different ways, right? So the Diana in 2017 that lost her mom and experienced that loss, the Diana in 2026 who experienced the loss of this thing that you've built and created for your community, and that really defined you, your identity in a way. How did Diana respond differently? Because Diana in 2017 wasn't as healthy. Diana, I mean, I think you just answered it, but I want to point that out to people that when this is the gut connection to all of this, is when your gut is healthy, you can actually you can see the blessings in the storm. And I'm just curious to know, and I've never asked you this because you didn't lose your store until just recently, but were you able to find the blessings sooner this time around than before?
Absolutely. It's actually amazing to And maybe because I'm a little bit older now and I can kind of look back at how I handled different situations over the years. And it is interesting to me how I was able to handle this better. But I do think it's because, just like you were saying, the difference in how I felt in 2016 and 2017 when I started really feeling horribly. And I was still, going through, I mean, it wasn't postpartum because my kids were born in 2010 and 2012, but I never had kind of caught myself up. I mean, I constantly had symptoms all throughout that time. And, but this loss was totally different, and this stressor was totally different, because what I like to say is making sure all the pillars of health are all intact, right? And I know we've talked about this again before on the podcast, but I think it's so important to know that, all the different pieces of that. And I know some people's are different, but nutrition is a huge leg of those pillars. Movement is a huge piece of that. Some people would say maybe it's supplementation, maybe it's stress relief, whatever the case may be. But you have these pillars, and of course sleep is so important. So I think because I had made sure that over the last 8 years, while I was doing the store, even though it was stressful, I was making sure that those pillars were taken care of. So when I do have this massive stressor that happens all at once and just literally kind of blindsided me, I think that's why I didn't crash and burn this time, because I had worked all of those other things out. And again, I'm the first one to admit that my diet is not perfect. I'm sure my exercise regimen could be better. My sleep isn't always exactly spot on, but it's really close. And I'm constantly working on it to make sure that those things are really optimal. And so if something like this, some kind of major stressor happens, I'm able to handle it better. And I will point out, one of our members, she probably would be fine if I actually said her name, but I'm not going to say her name. But she's been with us for almost a year now, and I'll be honest, she's had a little bit of a tough time with optimizing her gut health. She was having some major issues with indigestion, lots of burning, couldn't sleep. And she has been working on that over the last 12 months. And then guess what? She got hit with a major stressor a couple of months ago as well, where she had a loss of a mother. And she came on in with our members and told that testimonial, told that story. And I mean, we were all in tears. And so she too found that because she worked on all of those other things, she was able to handle that major stressor in her life so much better. So, I mean, it was such a powerful story, wasn't it?
Oh, she came on and was like motivating guys, she was literally, I would say a week after this, she came on the call and was like, don't give up, keep going. She actually said, this is is getting me through this right now, is being able to work on myself, maintain these pillars of health, and stay strong. I valued that call so much because it spoke so much to what we're really searching for. I think this is it, is guys, the brain and the gut, they are having a conversation all day long. So when the gut is inflamed, the brain knows about it. It affects how you think. When nutrients are low, the brain knows, it affects how you think. When blood sugar is unstable, the brain knows, it affects how you think. Healing your gut isn't just about digestion. I think that's what people think. Like, well, I'm fine. My digestion's fine. It's not. Everything that we've talked about thus far is about creating more capacity. And let me tell you, I have goosebumps because that is what women out there desire. And they don't always know how to put it into words. But I'm telling you, at the root of their symptoms, they would say, that's it. I'm asking for more capacity. But they think something's broken with them. And it's like, that's what we're here to tell you, is like, no, it's not that you're broken. It's just that, like we just said, your gut and brain are talking all day long. And the fact that Diana's testimony proof, gosh, Diana, your story, actually, it's like multiple testimonies in one. I mean, your story is amazing from start to finish, and it's still going, which was what I think is even more amazing. Like, it's not ending. But there's so many places in your story where it's kind of like a different testimony, but it keeps reminding us that, like, when you look inside and you work on the gut, it actually opens up more capacity mentally, which then opens up more capacity to find the blessings, to work through past, current, future traumas or losses, whatever is written in the books for us. And so I think, this is the part that's really probably been sitting with me lately. And I was excited to record this podcast, is because I don't think that the biggest problem is that women don't know what the healthy habits are. I mean, let's be honest, guys, in today's world, I would say Google is so old at this point. We've got, all the versions of AI. So, like, you guys know the healthy habits. And if you don't know them, you can find them in a matter of 7 seconds by just asking whatever version of AI you want. But it's the permission. It's what you're actually missing here is the permission, I think, to believe that if we stop managing everything for just a few minutes, that our life isn't going to fall apart. And I'm going to go back, Diana, to you for a second about this. Again, your story just keeps going, but you recently went on a vacation. And I think this vacation was so different for you. And so I want you to tell us about that.
It was truly the first vacation that I didn't work on vacation. Todd and I have talked about for years that the way that his job is, he, literally pulls his brakes at the end of the day and then never thinks about it until he goes in the next morning. And we talk about how the difference with what I was doing versus what he's doing, where I was on 24/7. I was constantly getting text messages, emails. I had to do social media. I mean, it was a lot. I wore a lot of different hats. And so not having to do that on this vacation allowed me to be so present with my family and just soak it in and be thankful for the blessing of the fact that I booked the trip when I booked the trip, because I would have never booked it had I known that my store was going to shut down. But I had already paid for the trip, so I was like, you know what, we're going to go. And it was a kind of not a once in a lifetime, but not something that you do every day, because we went to the Dominican Republic. And so it was a very special trip to be able to spend that with my family. And so I guess really what I want to, and being able to turn off that worry was great. Not taking my iPad, not taking my MacBook to make sure that I was, I knew that you were handling everything that we need to do with our clients here. And so that was a relief as well. And so I do appreciate thank you publicly for allowing me that time. But I do want to shift this into our listeners, because not everybody's going to just all of a sudden lose their job, right? We're not asking you to move mountains. We're not asking you to pretend like your life isn't busy, because there are so many different things. But I love the word that you gave, which is permission. And typically you give yourself, you need to give yourself that permission, right? But I think it's so interesting. One of the things that you and I do so well is you're like, hey, you almost asked for permission. Can I have 15 minutes to go for a walk? And when you ask, I know that you need it. So I'm like, absolutely. I will spend the next 15 minutes getting organized, whatever we're going to work on next, because you need that 15 minutes. So whether you have to literally ask permission to, whether it's your business partner, whether it's your spouse, your family, I have encouraged people that I've worked with in the past that when they walk in the door from, like, let's say a 9-to-5 job, or, they're a bank teller or something like that, and they walk in the door, I'm like, why don't you ask your family, set an alarm on your microwave for 10 minutes. And so your family knows that you need 10 minutes to walk back to your bedroom. And whether that's, if you're like me, that means taking off your bra. Let's be honest.
So true. Yeah.
So whether that just means, and then literally to go, and I tell them, I'm like, take off your bra, go lay down on the floor and just do some breathing, get yourself out of work mode and into family mode now, turn off whatever social media or whatever, so that you can be present for your family. So I hope that allows you I hope I'm giving you the permission today to just do that. If you've had a long day, you walk in the door and say, I'm so happy to see you, family, but I'm going to set this alarm for 10 minutes on my microwave so you can see when my 10 minutes are over. And I'm going to go spend that for myself because I want to show up for you better. And they probably will start to see like, hey, I like mom better when she has those 10 minutes, right?
Oh, for sure. You're a better person. And I think it's like we're so used to, you and I talk about those basics, right? Often of like eat your protein, stay hydrated, protect your sleep, gosh, all the things. But I think we tend as women just to see it as a nut. Don't we all? You guys can admit, we see checklists. Here's another, I mean, that's just how we're wired. Here's what needs to get done. And so we look at it as like a chore or a restriction instead of seeing it exactly how you're seeing it, Dinah, is it's actually going to make you a better person. And so instead of thinking like, okay, I have to protect my sleep, the gut girls told me I need to be in bed at the same time every night. It's like, don't think of it that way. It's not because it's like one more health rule. It's because we know that a rested, reset brain has way more capacity to be present the next day. And that's actually what we want for you. It's not about protecting the sleep. We want you to have more capacity the next day. And you should want that for yourself, is what we're saying. And then when it comes to protein, a lot of women think like, gosh, I have to stop what I'm doing to eat. How many women, Dinah, do we talk to that are like, that's going to change my whole day? You're asking me to eat this much protein. Like I'm going to have to redo my whole day. And it's not because we're obsessed with macros. I mean, Dinah and I could care less about macros, trust us, but it's because we know that stable blood sugar creates a calmer mind. And women, we're talking to you specifically. We know that we have men that listen too, but I know you want nothing more than a calmer mind. I know that you want nothing more than to show up to loved ones, whether that's your spouse or your kids or your own parents or anyone in your community. You see yourself showing up a certain way, and when you can't, gosh, I know from personally that just rips me apart. I'm like, gosh, I wasn't the person I knew I could be. So I know that eating my protein is much more than macros. And I know, like Dana said, going on that walk is not just to burn calories. It's not. It's reminding your nervous system that your body loves movement. It's actually one way to release movement, and it's moving is one way to experience the world around you. And isn't that what you were designed to do, is experience God's creation and take it all in and receive, right? So I think that, guys, you just got to change the way you're thinking about some of these things. Notice the sunset more. Like Dana said, give yourself permission. These aren't hacks. Remember, I don't know if you guys, like, there's so many podcasts out there today that are like biohacking, and it's like, we're honestly not hacking anything. I'm not that smart to hack God's design. No one is. It's just allowing God's design to receive instead of constantly being productive. And it's reminding your body that you're safe here, right? I mean, it is the first phase that we go through in our guided transformation, which is our gut transformation membership. The first thing we do is teach you how to calm your nervous system, right?
Yeah. And that's what I do love so much about our Gut Girls membership is we teach you these steps and how important the order is in which the steps need to happen in order to make your healing a better process, right? Mm-hmm. And when I say healing, a lot of times that's not necessarily just, I mean, sure, we love when people are like, I'm not feeling bloated anymore and I'm finally going to the bathroom, or whatever the case may be. Of course we love to hear that, but it's the real life kind of experiences that we love to hear when people, I mean, I can still remember a lady being like, I finally got to play with my grandkids. Like, I feel like I have enough energy now to be able to play with my grandkids. And that's what life is really all about. So that's what we're doing in the Gut Girls. A lot of times people just think like they have to come with us with this major gut issue. But one of the most recent clients that we signed up for, she was just like, I just felt like I wanted this I want to optimize my life in general. And so I want to see what you guys are all about. And she actually had quite a bit that she needs to work on in her gut, but she's like, this is just a piece of the puzzle. And that's what I talk to people about. That's what Gut Girls is created to be, is to be a supportive and encouraging group for you. yes, we want to optimize your gut health, but at the same time, we're helping optimize your nervous system and helping you balance all of those things out. Like, how do we do this together in a community, just like Angela and I do, where we give each other permission to go for that walk, or, give each other permission to just say what you need to say about, how you're feeling about your kids at the moment, or whatever the case may be. So I love that about our membership. Angela, anything else before we kind of close up for the day?
Yeah, well, I know that we primarily speak to women. So I don't know if any man that has hit play has hung on for this whole podcast, but guys, if you are a woman that has a man that, wants a similar capacity in life, but maybe doesn't know how to put it in words, I will say, let me speak to the men for just a minute. I was listening to a podcast the other day of, I forget even who it was and what it was. I was driving 6 hours to Pennsylvania, so guys, I blew through quite a few podcasts. But it was interesting because it hit me because he was asking for capacity, which is, I was like, yes, this is what all of our members are asking for. But his capacity, and this is so touching, is he said his wife asked him, one thing I'm praying for, and I want you to start praying for, she said to him, is to see me home, meaning she wanted to go first and she wanted him to see her home to the Lord. And from that moment on, his whole mindset shifted of that's what I need. That's the capacity I need. Like, I need to take care of my body. I can't be eating the sugar. I've got to protect my sleep. I've got to get out in nature and walk more. I've got to eat my protein, because that was the level of capacity. He's like, I've got to see, she's asked me, I've got to see my wife home. And guys, I have goosebumps talking about it now, because I'm like, we honestly can't put into words a lot of the time what we really want out of life, but people are asking for it, and men, you are asking for it too. And I know that we primarily treat women, but I will say, ladies, you have the power when you go through it yourself, like Diana has done, to bring that to your family, to share that capacity change and that growth and that health mindset with your family. And that includes your husband and your kids, and even, brothers and sisters in your life. And so I just love this topic, because I think we oftentimes don't know how to put it into words what we really want out of life. And so Diana and I have shared a few things that she and I want out of life, few of the things that Diana's gotten out of life by doing this gut health transformation. And it touches everyone out there. And so, guys, yes, the membership is there. Diana, just remind them how to connect with us.
The easiest thing to do is just to go to our website, which is simply gutgirls.health. And you can go there. You can start the free 15, or you can do a free start by doing a free 15 with us. And we can show you what we provide for you in the membership, some very tangible educational pieces and things. Some of our personal wellness strategies are included there. And then everything that you get in a lab shop. So if you're looking to do a GI map test and really kind of dive deep into what your gut health looks like, and if you want to go through this whole transformative process with us, having a community and a supportive group of women alongside you, we would love for you to join us. So again, just go to our website, gutgirls.health. And we look forward to seeing you as one of our members soon. And if not, then we will see you on the next podcast.
The Gut Girls podcast is for educational purposes only and is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. We are not acting as licensed medical professionals. Always consult your doctor before making any changes to your health routine.